If you are well, it is well, and I am also well. Welcome to the Stoic Cat. What's the worst that can really happen? The Stoics had a way of preparing themselves mentally by visualizing misfortunes in advance. The reason they had for this was to have a better preparation for these possible unfortunate events. They would embrace whatever might happen and figure out what they could do about it in a very action-oriented approach. This specific technique has deeper consequences in that it is regarded a way in finding tranquility, virtue, and therefore happiness. For the Stoics, happiness is not something to be sought directly because it should be achieved as a byproduct of being virtuous, meaning living virtuously would be the same as living happily. So, practice thinking of a worst-case scenario by imagining and preparing the worst as if it is happening now. Even if it's unlikely to happen, you directly become grateful of what you currently have. In Stoicism, there is no good or bad fortune, but it's our reactions that make it so. Work on being indifferent so you can avoid fearing or worrying, which will allow you to confront your fate calmly, patiently, and rationally. Therefore, negative visualization is completely different to worrying. Rather, it is more like a weapon against it. When we visualize what could happen and how we could best react to a misfortune, we make a visualization of the impact and an approach or plan of it in our minds, which will tend to stop the worrying because there's nothing to worry about since we already know what we could do about it. And it should then not be a problem at all, as it is out of our control. Stoicism motivates us to be engaged with these thoughts, to be prepared of possible negative outcomes that cross our path. And in the case they should not pass, then it will make us become even more grateful for the fortunes we have received in life. A win-win for the Stoics. If you have an interest in learning more about Stoicism, or if you want to explore answers to some of life's most significant questions, please continue watching the episode. Also, let us know what you think in the comment section below, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Let's continue. When reacting to misfortune due to lack of preparation, we often present a reaction that relies mostly on our emotions, our intuitions, and on the setbacks that we are reacting against. And all these three elements become an extra weight preventing us from performing in alignment with our best self. Firstly, emotions tend to cloud our thinking, some more than others, like anger for example. But Stoicism teaches us to control our feelings from the get-go. For instance, since anger does nothing for us, we should stop worrying about it as soon as possible. Being a Stoic is not an emotionless life. It is only a life full of emotion-free reactions. Fortune falls heavily on those for whom she's unexpected. A common misconception is that this premeditation ruins the present moment. We should not worry about the things until they occur, but the Stoics knew that it was best to conquer any anxiety. This reasoning is well established in current cognitive behavior therapy, through a technique called imaginal exposure. CBT enables a process of habituation to the stimulus that is causing anxiety to get people familiar with the fear as a way to make its power wither. Many would still point out that premeditating adversity can be too pessimistic and sad. But the Stoics were seen and saw themselves as highly optimistic people. The thing is that this endorsed optimism was nothing more than a prudent pessimism. It is not about seeing the glass as half full, but to appreciate having a glass at all. The Stoics understood that what is outside our control, so everything else in our thoughts and actions, is under fortune's say. Every day they would reflect upon the possibility of fate taking everything and everyone away from them. However, instead of getting upset, sad, or pessimistic, they would channel their energy towards actions. They would appreciate everything and everyone, and consequently, they would be deeply immersed in the present, cherishing moments instead of things. They would make people around them feel loved, while avoiding getting attached to them, and they would crave what they already have instead of continuously wanting or needing new things. The desire for new things and the charm of novelty come not because of our old possessions losing charm, but because we grow accustomed to them. A classic fact regarding lottery winners, for example: after an initial period of unlimited hedonism, the winners usually come back to their default level of happiness. This is the hedonic adaptation, or hedonic treadmill in action. We will look further into this fascinating process in a later episode. So, as we get used to things, we start taking them for granted, taking away all the joy we would have from them. When we deliberately accept that everything can be taken away from us now, we appreciate their value and how they impact our lives. So we combat this hedonic adaptation by valuing the things we have, to focus on appreciating them and making us behave with all the care we usually have for new things. However, when we genuinely try to find out how we would feel about losing something, we can also realize what we don't matter losing, and that we could be better off without some things. This resulting in another win-win situation for the Stoics. Even when we try our best, unexpected things will still happen. Life has too many variables we have no control over for us to expect being able to grasp all of its nuances. Sometimes what happens is not bad in itself, but only different from what we wished at that moment. In any case, we need to accept it and give a chance for serendipity. There is a subtle beauty in things not happening the way we want them happening. We usually come to realize what really makes us happy and how grateful we are for what we have until fortune makes us understand how quickly they can be taken from us. Unexpected events bring out our unexpected features even to ourselves. They can also make us face our fears and most neglected feelings. And so often, what we fear is what we most need to do. Don't resent the obstacles fortune puts in your way. Make the obstacle the way. In this way, the Stoic premeditation is a form of mental progress in advance. It is also a tool to nurture the joy in our lives through the appreciation of what may not be here the next time. Be grateful for what you have instead of wanting more, for it can all be lost tomorrow. Take care, and until we meet again.